He went from nothing to become the second richest person in Italy and even became the fifth richest person in all of Europe. And in 2021, at 86 years old, he is one of the richest people in the world with a net worth of $35 billion. He is one of the few unconventional billionaires who went from a miserable life to building his wealth on his own. Today we're going to talk about Leonardo Del Vecchio, owner of the world's largest eyewear manufacturer, including the Oakley and Ray-Ban brands. But what really matters is not knowing about his life or his wealth. The golden question of this video is how? How did he manage to go from an orphanage to becoming the owner of a multi-billion-dollar empire, even with so little hope in life? How did he manage to turn a visual impairment into an extremely profitable business? Well, for everything to make sense, we need to go back in time a little. Leonardo Del Vecchio was born into a very poor family in Milan, Italy in 1935. His father sold vegetables on the street and sadly died before he was born. Del Vecchio was sent to an orphanage when he was only 7 years old because his mother could no longer support her 5 children on her own. He started working at the age of 14 as an apprentice in a factory that made automotive parts and eyeglass components. Over time, he was influenced by his boss to take a course in the field of design. And he started to really enjoy it. So much so that at the age of 25, he decided to move to Agordo, the city where the Italian eyewear industry was concentrated. And there, he began building his empire by opening Luxottica in 1961. Initially, Luxottica specialized only in the manufacturing of small parts for eyeglasses. 7 years later, it started producing frames under its own brand name. Del Vecchio's success, as we will see, can be summarized and sustained by 2 simple principles. The first is to be responsible for everything. So, in 1974 he bought the distributor Scaroni. Now he wasn't just a manufacturer of eyeglass frames, he was also the distributor. In 1981 he began his international expansion by opening his first subsidiary in Germany. But Del Vecchio realized that growing worldwide wouldn't be such an easy task because the competition was brutal. The solution to overcome this obstacle was a visionary idea. This was definitely a great idea which put him on track to become the biggest company in the eyewear industry in the world today. And that's why they consider it the second principle in building Leonardo Del Vecchio's fortune. He revolutionized the optical industry by combining it with the fashion industry after closing his first licensing deal with Giorgio Armani in 1988. This guaranteed him the right for Luxottica to produce frames for Armani. And, as everyone knows, luxury brands have the power to persuade a person to pay thousands of dollars for a product that costs 10 or even 20 times less to produce. But Leonardo Del Vecchio still wasn't satisfied. In the first 25 years of Luxottica, Leonardo kept his company as a manufacturer and supplier. In other words, he was behind the scenes selling his glasses to the end consumer through optical stores. Del Vecchio actually wanted to be responsible for the final sale as well. And to achieve that, he first listed Luxottica on the New York Stock Exchange in 1990. With that, he raised enough money to acquire US Shui in 1994, which was a conglomerate that controlled, besides clothing and sneaker stores, also controlled LensCrafters, the largest optical chain in the United States at the time. Now, Luxottica didn't just sell Armani but also Prada, Chanel, Ralph Lauren, Dolce & Gabbana and so on. Leonardo was no longer just the manufacturer and distributor, he was also the retail seller. This is what we call in the business world vertical integration, and he loves this method because he still uses it to this day. He did this on 4 continents, including Brazil, after buying Óticas Carol, the country's largest optical retail chain, for 110 million euros in 2017. Back in 1999, Luxottica bought Ray-Ban for $645 million. And promised to protect thousands of jobs in factories in the United States and Ireland. 3 months later, the factories were closed and production was moved to China and Italy.
We stopped selling Ray-Ban glasses for about a year.
It was possible to buy a Ray-Ban for about $30 before they were acquired by Luxottica. Luxottica removed Ray-Bans from more than 13,000 points of sale worldwide and relaunched them at much higher prices. Later, Del Vecchio decided that Ray-Ban would not only be a sunglasses brand, but also a brand for prescription glasses. The result of that, well, currently, Ray-Ban is the most valuable eyewear brand in the world, generating $2 billion in sales each year for Luxottica, and the plan to become number one in the world was unstoppable. The Italian visionary acquired Sunglass Hut in 2001, then Pearl Vision and Kohl's and Nash in 2004. And even the Vision insurance company didn't fall behind. Not even Oakley was able to compete with the Italians' hunger for dominance. Del Vecchio, after buying almost every eyewear retail store in the United States and around the world, demanded that suppliers of other brands lower their prices. And Oakley refused that demand. At the time, Oakley was the hottest sunglasses brand in the world. A few months later, Oakley was removed from all the stores owned by Leonardo Del Vecchio. The result was a 37% drop in Oakley's stock. The battle between the two companies ended up in court, but it was eventually settled out of court. Luxottica simply bought Oakley in 2007 for $2.7 billion. This move drew heavy criticism, and many view Luxottica as a monopoly in the eyewear industry.
So is there a free eyewear market?
No, I really don't think so. I think one company has excessive dominance in the market.
The argument that Luxottica exercises a monopoly became even stronger after they merged with Essilor, the world's largest lens manufacturer, in 2018. In other words, I don't know if this was very clear to you, but Luxottica currently controls the manufacturing of frames, distribution, and final retail sales, both for glasses and lenses. This logically makes price manipulation easier. At optical stores, we have many choices, right? But in reality, we're being completely deceived. It's pretty much all from the same company. But look, this doesn't happen only in the optical world. It happens in the food industry, with Nestle, in the beverage industry, with Coca-Cola. In fact, I talked a bit more about this in the video about why Coca-Cola failed in India. It will be in the cards for you to watch later. But technically, Essilor and Luxottica, which are actually one company today, are not a monopoly. Even though it gives that impression, in 2018 Luxottica, despite being huge, held 25% of the global eyeglass frame sales. Some insiders say that selling glasses is without a doubt very profitable and can generate a very high profit margin. But nothing compares to lenses, which can reach up to 800% profit margin. In other words, it's no wonder that Luxottica joined forces with Essilor. While Del Vecchio made Luxottica dominate the market by owning manufacturing, buying other brands and retail chains, Essilor grew behind the scenes, acquiring other lens manufacturers, laboratories, and even the science of vision itself. The company holds more than 8,000 patents and funds many ophthalmology schools around the world. Leonardo Del Vecchio, once a poor Italian boy abandoned in an orphanage at 7, went on to build the company that now shapes how the world sees. His incredible story is truly inspiring and motivates those of us striving to achieve our dreams. The great lesson his story teaches us is that we can completely change our reality, even if the circumstances are as unfavorable as possible. My final question for this video is, a recent study showed that by 2050 half of the world's population will be nearsighted, totaling 5 billion people. With this alarming fact in mind, could Essilor and Luxottica be major manipulators of the optical market? What do you think? Comment below, I want your opinion.